Hello, beautiful family. This is Paloma. Thank you for sharing space with me and for supporting this channel. So, where are we? We are in the middle of both eclipses. We are precisely at the point where we are feeling this very big culmination we just had with the Pisces eclipse, and we are feeling the other wave of this new moon, which is a partial solar eclipse in Virgo, and we are feeling both. So that's why sometimes it gets quite overwhelming at this point. At the same time, I think it's the most magical moment because there are all of these synchronicities and sort of like soul rendezvous appointments to remind us who we are and why we are here, because at the end that's what the nodes do. They realign us with the evolutionary calling of our souls. So before I get to the eclipse, there are several things that happen almost each day of the week. Of course, they are all part of the big story, but I'm going to go through them, okay? So we start on Monday with Venus and Mars in an alliance through a sextile. This is like a creative collaboration from the School of Service and the School of Relationships. There is the shadow side of this, which is we are invited to transcend in Virgo the sacrifice and the being the savior part. And with Mars in Libra, this undecisiveness and sometimes passive aggressiveness. Once we integrate this, I think the true invitation is something like, by being who I am from my most authentic expression, I am of service to all of my relationships. And then we move into Mercury, who at the very end of Virgo is going to oppose Saturn. This is very much part of the eclipse energy. In a traditional reading, we would say this is a limitation to freedom of expression, which we are seeing in the world. But let's look for a way of integrating this into our lives. I would say it's a walk your talk kind of dialogue. It's to become responsible for what we say with a discernment that verifies in self-experience and then can become an authority by sharing thoughts and ideas. And it is also this integration of our hemispheres that we've been working so deeply with, of logic and intuition. And then Mercury is going to enter Libra, and I think he's going to give us more of a diplomatic, more open sort of willingness. And there is a quest for balance, for harmony, but also for justice. The thing is, as soon as he enters Libra, he's going to enter this configuration of the kite, because he's going to be talking with Urano, Neptune, and Pluto. This kite configuration is not as usual. We're having it a lot right now, because every time someone goes through the last degrees of Virgo and first degrees of Libra, we're going to have these kites. But they're not as usual, and they're beautiful because it's a configuration of, it's like rising, no? It's quite creative, very entrepreneurship. It's like of creative flow. And for me, this is the way in which these transpersonal planets that have this such a like really big energy and agenda of their own, they bring it into our realm through personal planets like Mercury in this case. So I think it's about seeing new solutions, unexpected solutions, connections, communications that transform, that revolution, and that inspire as well. I think the challenge is to be very scattered or to be distracted. There's also this mist with Neptune sometimes that we need to like open the mist so we can see through them. Because I think in an intuitive level we do know. It's just we don't have the visible certainty of things right now, but we know the new is here. It's vibrating already. And we also know it requires courage, and it requires us to transcend compliance and to take steps into the unknown. So yeah, this kite is part of the eclipse, of course. It is being held by our small mind in dialogue with the higher mind and the awakener, in dialogue with spirit, with Neptune, and in dialogue with power. So it's like a open your mind. No, it's quite important because Mercury is the ruler of Virgo, where we are going to have the eclipse. So I see it as like new synapses in our brains, like new neural connections or paths that we will have to strengthen through our discipline, through our intent. But nevertheless, it's sort of like an upgrade of our brains, of our minds, of our consciousness, of our creative world. And then Venus is going to enter Virgo. She's going to be far away from the eclipse, but she's going to be sharing space with the eclipse. I mean, sharing space in terms of the school of Virgo, where the South Node is. So I think this work of purification of relationships, of values, of patterns that are hindering our connection to everything, to life. No, the thing is, Venus enters Virgo and she immediately creates a square to Urano. So what can I say? Change, disruption of the pattern, electrical charge in the area of relationships and finances. I truly see it as a wake-up call to our true value, to worthiness, to feeling worthy from the truth of who we are, and we are fractals of divinity. And this actually awakens deep humility, and this realization can do nothing more than wake up in us the biggest compassion, the all-embracing compassion. So again, change, because Virgo, the South Node, is there. I think like the pattern with which we had weaved reality is being threaded. I think life is reorganizing itself. It's quite intense. So now we get to the eclipse on the 21st of September 2025. It's like a big reset, personal reset. It's at the 29th degree, which is the anaretic mastery degree. It's truly focusing on responsibility and spiritual growth. Even though it is a new moon, and it is, of course, therefore a seed, it's still emphasizing like a shedding of a skin, a closing of cycles, recognizing these harmful patterns and preparing ourselves for new opportunities in relationships and life. There's a strong emphasis on health, mental, spiritual, emotional, physical. I think because this eclipse happens at this last degree of Virgo, it's really a moment to become masters. This is a transition into new experiences, because if you think about it, this would be the half of the zodiac. So the zodiac begins at 0 Aries, and this first half of the whole circle ends there where we have the eclipse. And this first half is all about learning about ourselves, about who we are. And then we enter this place of offering ourselves in a dimension of relationship, more social and even more transpersonal. So this is why this is such a calling to mature. No, to mature truly. So that we can be of service, yes, from this individual autonomous I am, but to something that is much bigger and greater than ourselves. So Saturn is there opposing the eclipse. This is like a full stop, truly. It's like a stop. It's a boundary, a challenge, maybe an obstacle. Sometimes with Saturn we get this no, and it's not usually like a definitive no. It's more like not now, not like that, pay attention, like really go into the detail of this, because he is calling us into accountability, into like everything that we have left lingering there, to really respond for this, to grow, to check in our boundaries, to discipline our energy, and to become true disciples of spirit in a human expression. So this thing about Saturn going back to Pisces that I was mentioning, it's about like really checking in the spiritual foundations of our lives, and how this implies us connected to our will, surrendering our will to a higher one. The energy of Virgo and Saturn are going to emphasize the need to act with commitment, with integrity, with dedication, with attention to detail, with devotion. So I think we will be making decisions here that will lead to these more of these karmic closures, and to embrace our healing journey. It is a moment, I think, basically, if I were to say it in few words, which I'm not doing, it's like we realize that something isn't working in our lives, no? Virgo and Saturn here are saying, you need to make some adjustments, significant adjustments. This eclipse, yes, it's a new chapter. That it's also amazing how it is aligned with the change of the season, because we have the equinox at the next day. And if you follow the family, the lunar family of this eclipse, which is long to explain here, but it will go for about 3 years from this point on, every single one of those moons is actually in synchronicity with either a solstice or an equinox. So for me, this again emphasizes the need to realign ourselves, like to heal our experience of time and realign ourselves with the markers of Mother Earth and the sky to go back into the natural time. Okay, so what we've been procrastinating, escaping, avoiding, I think this will show up because it is a heavy load. And the idea is to lighten up, really, to let go of this weight. I see it also like to let go of everything that is polluting our fields and our bodies. That's why it's important to be open to making significant changes in our lifestyles. I think when the moon, a few hours afterwards, goes into Libra and the next day the sun, I think we're going to balance out a little bit the energy because it feels quite just intense while we're reaching the eclipse. And there is this challenge of staying authentic and truly not hiding our essence in our relationships. There's a strong story going on in terms of relationships. They are evolving, they are transforming, because if you see the chart, you will see the Kite and you will see Venus here squaring Urano, and you will see Mars that has opposed Chiron, like touching this place of the wound in our identities, our insecurities, and is starting to create a square to Pluto. So even though they are talking in harmony, Venus and Mars, like with this longing of creative collaboration, it is through looking into the shadow and doing things differently. There's Pluto and Urano to the sides. So we will be evaluating our connections and the way in which we communicate. And the invitation is transparency, honesty. It might feel a bit chaotic, I must say. This is a kind of chaos that catalyzes this resetting of our reality, of reorganizing our lives in the very personal and also collective scale. Neptune there. Neptune creates this, like this confusion sometimes, but it is the first layer of Neptune. We need to be adaptable to circumstances that are overwhelming us. We need to take really good care of ourselves and surrender control with Neptune so strong. It is still about we do what we can with what's in our hands. That's what I mean. And it's a very let go, let God kind of energy. No, we keep trusting. We keep trusting. The results or the harvest of these, they won't be immediate. They never really are, because eclipses are a 6-month development and also any new moon. Yet Saturn here, he's saying you need to look further ahead in your commitment as an ancestor of a new era, so this won't be immediate. But there will be a manifestation because Saturn is a manifester, Okay, so we are letting go of things that no longer serve us as usual, opening ourselves up to new ways of doing things. And we are being supported. Obviously, there's Jupiter supporting there. I would say it's a great moment to lean into the sacred. And if you ask me what is sacred, everything's sacred. But what is sacred for you? What is sacred for you to go back into devotional practices, to bring ritual into our lives? This is a way in which our ancestors, before we had clinical terms for trauma and all of this, would co-regulate through circles, through song, through dance. And this is essential so we can move ahead in this awakening, remembering of consciousness. So we will be also looking deeply into our belief systems, ideas, ideologies. I think the whole moment might help us identify where is the core belief that has kept us in this separation wound. And there is a North Node in Pisces there, saying use love, use compassion in every interaction, in every relationship. This way of living can transform a relationship with the planet and with every living being. There are such strong energies, much bigger than our individual will, and yet we offer our will to co-create. This is what this invitation is about, to collaborate with Source and to really, really take care of ourselves through the process, because I know it's quite intense for some of us or overwhelming for our systems. I think this is a seed of a restoration of health in every possible way, or maybe of a restoration of the intrinsic health that is our natural state. and what this implies in a practical and spiritual way, which we are realizing through this axis, is the same. Some things from the past might come, my those lingering things. I think the next part of 2025, the last part, is like the karmic, like whatever I left undone there. But we will get a chance to see new ways of dealing with this, opening up to solutions we hadn't considered. So we are shedding skin, getting rid of the old version of ourselves, habits also, and everything that no longer resonates. I do want to acknowledge these processes might be painful for some, and in deep honor for this pain, I also bring this information forward because I know we are being invited to jump into the unknown with an open heart to whatever is out there that we can't yet see, but we somehow feel. So, okay, most of the challenges will come from our resistance. So if we soften and soften into acceptance of what is, we might find ourselves at ease and peace. I think this is a big initiation because Saturn is like a rite of passage, really, of self-mastery, of sovereignty, of learning to work with our energy, and allowing these personal lessons of letting go, of detachment, of boundaries to go to develop themselves. It is a moment for patience, then, not for impulsivity, not for desperation. It is a moment for faith, for trust, for hope, and for surrender. An opportunity to navigate through change, learning to stay centered through it. No, this is truly a calling us into alignment with our soul's wisdom. And when we are in alignment, there is clarity. No, clarity, perhaps not for the next 200 steps, but clarity for the next one. And that is enough for now, because it is only you that can feel through your inner knowing where you are meant to be and who you are meant to co-create this next chapter with. I think there are answers, there are signs, there is help, there is assistance, there are resources. Everything we need to create this new life is available. Sometimes all we need is a humbleness to ask for the help. So let us focus on solutions and trust that we are held, we are guided, we are deeply loved, and work a lot in aligning our brain-heart complex to enter a unified state of coherence. From there, we will make aligned choices that will benefit us and all. So, a seed, indeed, that requires patience, diligence, because I just want to, we are in service to a dawn, the dawn of a new humanity. And if we remember that, we will find the courage to serve through whatever life is bringing to you and to me. I hope this resonates with you. This is of service for you. This is helpful. Thank you again for listening. Blessings. Tlazo Kamate.